Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am the Lower Paxton Township Manager, and in typical fashion, I will give a brief summary of this evening's agenda, particularly for the benefit of those who may be watching at home on television. So it's a light agenda this evening. It is a board business session. Under old business, the board has one action item, which is the approval of a preliminary and final land subdivision plan for Cardin Enterprises LLC. Under new business, an action item is to approve the application for payment number 1 relating to the ongoing municipal center renovations project. Following which the board will take action to approve another preliminary subdivision plan, this being for the Parkway Farms development. And then after that, the board will take action to approve the improvement guarantees, the payment of township and authority bills, and then finally hear any lasting announcements before making a motion to adjourn. With all that said, members of the board are seated and prepared to conduct business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Board of Supervisors to order. We'd like to ask everyone to please stand, and Supervisor Lindsay will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move now to approval of minutes from the March 7th, 2023 business meeting and the March 14th workshop and the March 21st business meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This is the time set aside for public comment. I would like to announce the board did meet in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel issues, and will be meeting again following the meeting. Public comment is for any item not on the agenda tonight. If you were here to speak to an item on the agenda, we'll have you speak at that time. So would anybody like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? If you would please come to the podium and give us your name and address, sir. Right there.
My name is George Bass, 1106 Hammond Drive. I have about 3 things I just want to bring up. I understand the sewer bill just went up $5. I understand probably you have increases in sewer maintenance and salaries, etc. But also understand that somewhere around $1.1 billion of gallons of sewage went into the Susquehanna River in 2021. Every week, there's millions of gallons of stormwater and sewage, raw sewage, being dumped in the Susquehanna River. But meanwhile, now I pay also $26 a quarter, $104 a year for stormwater running down to fix the creeks that might be contaminating the Susquehanna River. And then I also read that there's no plan, well, there might be a plan ready by 2024 to address this issue of the Susquehanna River. Huh?
Not here. That's not us. Nobody
No,
said
it's
that.
Harrisburg. But our sewage goes to Harrisburg.
No, it does. No,
Where
no,
does
no,
it
no,
go?
no. The sewage going into the Susquehanna River is not coming from Lower Paxton Township.
It's coming from Harrisburg.
Well, we're not Harrisburg. We're Lower Paxton Township.
Where do you send the sewage?
Most of our sewage goes to the Swidera treatment plant.
And none goes to Harrisburg.
Not there is some, but most of our township stuff goes to Swidera Township.
Well, you're talking percentage, 50%, 90%? What are you talking?
I'd have to get back to you, sir, on the exact percentage, but it's less than it's certainly less than, definitely less than 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, that issue
Then
is not
that's my
our
mistake,
issue.
because I was told in previous meetings it goes to the capital area down in Harrisburg.
No.
All right. On the new trash bill, is there a law that says you must do trash through Lower Paxton?
Ordinance.
Is there an ordinance?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Where?
We have to provide municipal trash service.
But do you have to use it?
Via
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
via local ordinance, yes, sir.
So an elderly person has one little bag of trash and her friend comes and picks it up. is you're gonna have to pay 103.70 plus $5,
Yes.
and that's fair.
Well,
What I'm asking is,
Fair is-
I was in computer programming for almost 50 years. So I recommend that this board sits down and looks at options. The ability to opt out of the thing or either consolidate 4 or 5 seniors, getting together and somehow combining trash. Rather than paying $500 or $600 a quarter, maybe they could combine it somehow. In other words, adapt to what's out there that's required. I mean, it's a big nut. It's a lot of money.
it is a lot of money.
I got one last thing. I understand you accepted the lowest bid for the trash.
By law,
I
we,
talked to Sam Miller.
by law, we were
No, I
required to do
understand.
that. Yes,
I understand.
this is true.
The renovations going, were they put out for bid?
The what?
The renovations to the building, were they put out for bid?
The renovations to,
Here, for this building?
oh, the lobby?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it the lowest bid?
We're always, anything that we are required by law to bid, we're also
Just
required
ask
by law to
question,
take the
Was
lowest
it
bid.
the lowest bid?
Yes.
Now, next, was the lowest bid then, what's the word I'm looking for? Is prevailing wage being paid to this lower bid?
Yes.
And my understanding is you could get a bid lower than prevailing wage, is that correct? And not be awarded if they're not paying prevailing wage?
Well, aren't we required by law to pay prevailing wage on any project over, what, 25,000, or is that the number?
Yeah.
22.
So even though I come in, if I come in a little bit lower
Yeah.
and not prevailing wage, you're gonna pay it anyway.
We're required by law to pay prevailing wage to any project over somewhere in the mid-20s.
It's 25,000, I think you're right,
Yeah.
because I looked it up.
Yeah.
So if I can find somebody that can do it for less money, I'm still gonna pay them more?
We're required by law to pay
I
prevailing
didn't
wage.
ask you that. I know what the law is. I read
Well,
that.
well, sir.
Well, I'm just asking.
We can agree with you, and
I'm just saying
what you're
prevailing
saying-
wage, I understand prevailing wage.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not, but meanwhile, there's, things that can be done cheaper. But because of the Pennsylvania law, everything in government gets paid, is more and more and more.
you are absolutely correct.
Does anybody want to ever talk to congressmen somewhere to get it changed?
Well, it would require an act of the state legislature, but you are precisely 100% accurate in that.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Can anybody ever talk to somebody up there?
Well, some of us in capacities other than where we sit here have tried for years to get that changed. It's very
Just like-
difficult in
just-
Pennsylvania.
Last thing, just like the casino gaming, right, it was going to eliminate property tax.
Yeah, right.
I just saw, of all the billions that are being spent, 7% goes to property tax.
Yeah, we were sold sort of a bill of goods on that one.
No.
Nope. Cannot disagree with you, sir. Would anybody else like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to chairman and board member comments, and I would like to begin. It's unfortunate and with great sadness that I have to inform those present and those watching of the passing of Tracy R. Mumert, who passed away suddenly at his residence here several days ago. Tracy was an equipment operator for our Public Works Department, and he worked out of our facility over on Locust Lane. He began his employment with Lower Paxton Township on July 22nd, 1991, and has been with us ever since. On behalf of the board and our staff here at Lower Paxton, our thoughts and prayers go out to Mr. Mumert's family during this time, and we will we will share funeral arrangements whenever they are made available to us. So, in memory of our longtime employee, we'd like to take a few minutes of silence, please. Thank you. Would any other members of the board like to make comments, Mrs. Lindsay? I know much has occurred this past week.
It has. The board's been busy. Mr. Zumas and myself were in Hershey for 4 days. We attended the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors with 3,810 other officials from all over the state that came in. Lots of workshops and lots of networking. Then on Wednesday, the board, in the afternoon, we attended the Arbor Day at Heroes Grove. Thank you to Nick Garrett, one of our staff, who also is the liaison to the Shade Tree Commission, and thank you for the Shade Tree Commission for participating. We planted a tree over there, and the United Church of Christ Half-Day Play came and was a part of the little ceremony, and they each got a seedling then to take home, and if they plant it, it should be in 10 years big enough to be a Christmas tree. So thank you for everybody that participated there. And then on Sunday, our Parks and Recreation Department, we do 20 trash cans a year in our different parks, and we have people volunteer to paint them however they want to paint them. So 8 of those were done by the Linglestown Legion, Post 272. So the board was out there on Sunday watching them paint, and they very interesting trash cans. So they did 8 out of the 20. So we were busy this week. We just don't sit here on Tuesday nights. There's a lot going on, in Lower Paxton Township that we do attend.
Any other board members have any comments? Okay. Seeing none, managers report.
I have no specific report this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gottschall. We'll now proceed to old business. We have an item left over from the last meeting. We need to take action to approve a preliminary and final land development plan for Cardone Enterprises LLC. And I see we have Mrs. Zerby with us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Board. This is the preliminary final land development plan for Cardone Enterprises LLC. It proposes site improvements to make the lot suitable for the storage and wholesale of liquid paving products and contractor supplies associated with highway projects. The site improvements will consist of the installation of 4 storage tanks and 2 accessory buildings that will serve as storage areas and additional truck bays. Parcel 353461 has a total area of 2.84 acres and is located at 6730 Allentown Boulevard. The site is in the light industrial zoning district and will be served by public sewer and water supply. The plan was approved at the April 5th 2023 Planning Commission meeting. The plan was tabled at the April 18th board meeting to provide time for all concerns of the Paxtonia Fire Department to be addressed by the applicant. The board received in their packet a copy of an email from the chief of the Paxtonia Fire Company stating that the department's concerns relative to fire safety have been satisfied. Carolyn Stacks has investigated the possibility of a fire hydrant to serve the location and all other fire-related concerns. And Mrs. Stacks is with us this evening and can address any additional questions or concerns for the board. The applicant has asked for 5 waivers, and they are all recommended for approval by staff. There are 4 administrative comments and 3 general comments to be satisfied.
Okay. Any additional information that we need to provide?
Well, the hydrants that are there are quite a distance away.
That's why they're going to put another one in.
And
The board has to decide
Yeah.
to do that. The township pays for those fire hydrants. So if the board elects to do that, then
So
we
doesn't
can.
So the applicant doesn't pay for the fire hydrant?
They pay for the hydrant, but the township pays
Right, and
for
we
the
take-
hydrant for
Right,
eternity. Yes.
Right. And for what we pay to take care of that, to me, it's a public safety issue and it needs to be taken care of. So I did read the chief's report. I did talk to him, and then I was reading, everything from the business. And my question is, will that hydrant be there before the tanks are put in and the liquid is put in the tanks?
My guess would be no, because of the backup with ordering the ordering the hydrants and having them installed. I don't believe that they'll be in before.
Okay, because that's
They need to-
that's a concern of mine, because 2 weeks ago, when Chief Ross did ask if it was hazardous material, and they told him what it was, he said it is hazardous. So that, makes me a little nervous to public safety, because if something should happen out there, We only have one pumper in the township, and depending on where that's coming from, and if there's going to be the liquid in it.
Yeah, I think,
Isn't it only hazardous when being transported?
No.
Please give us your name and address.
Dan Stacks, 4200 Paxton Street. That's our original office. The material's only hazardous, components are hazardous in the mixture. The material is not flammable unless you get it in an elevated state where the gases become flammable. There's two materials there's about 7 materials were handled, but only 2 required placards. The one is asphalt cement, which is a non-regulated product. It's a flammable material at 446 degrees. The tanks all the new tanks we're putting in are all new tanks. They're heated with low wattage density electricity. The tanks have 3 fail-safes. They have a redundant system. They have one thermostat. If that thermostat burns out, you set this thermostat for 320 degrees, it stays at 320. If for somehow that failed, there's a redundant system that the second thermostat would have to fail. And then the third thing, if it became an elevated temperature, the low tank alarm would come on and shut the system down. So there's 3 redundant systems there. The other material is used, it's MC30. In a short story, we have 2. Our materials come from multiple terminals. Some of them terminals are anionic or positive charge. Other ones are cationic. So when we switch, and not one terminal handles all the variety of materials we handle. So when we go from a positive charge to a negative charge, if you didn't clean your truck out, then that would become a sludge and a disposal problem. So the MC30, which is the other material which was placarded, we keep that in an unheated tank, and then when we go to flush a truck, we turn it up to 100 degrees, we flush the truck, we put it back in the tank, and then we can go from another material. That material, and I have a note from the manufacturer stating, and this is on his material safety data sheets, that the material is not flammable. It's only flammable if you get it to an elevated state, where it puts out a gas, and then you have, of course, an open flame nearby. This material is heated with water. We have a boiler 60 feet away from the tank. You have a circulating pump that heats water or antifreeze mixture in a 460-gallon tank. The boiler is not capable of ever getting this material in an elevated state or cooking all the materials out to get the 400-something degrees. We've been in business since 1933, and we've handled hundreds of millions of gallons of asphalt. And the safeguards today are so much more than what they were years ago when you used an open flame. In the old days, you had an open flame heating asphalt. We have no open flames on the property. The tanks are inside a locked fence. The tanks, if you did, for example, let's say the tank did get to an elevated state, you would have to have somebody climb up a secure ladder to the top of the tank and throw a blowtorch or something in the tank. We've never had a fire in our history, and the only thing about these placards are if they're in an elevated state. The tanks are monitored through DEP every day, except we close Saturday at noon, and Sunday night we open back up. We have to keep these materials at an exact temperature because our trucks, we can't pump the material or we can't apply the material. And this MC30, the one in question, if we can heat it to an elevated temperature, it will never put off the gases. And PennDOT uses this material. It is in Bulletin 25 of PennDOT. And they heat the material to up to 225 degrees. And I have from Bulletin 25 from PennDOT showing, they heat the material to 225 degrees with an asphalt truck with a direct fire tube running through it.
I'm just concerned because when Mr. Ross asked you 2 weeks ago what if it was hazardous, you kept saying no. And then finally he said what kind of material it is. And when you said that, then Chief Ross did say that is a hazardous material.
Well, he kind of caught me off guard, truthfully, because the placards,
elevated materials are placarder, but they're non-flammable unless you heat it in elevated state, which our heating system is not capable of heating those materials to that state.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
we-
in his
we-
letter, he said he would like to have a fire suppression system or else is what he said to be safe.
I mean, he said also if it's feasible. I mean,
And that's all taken care of in the building permit process. That's not part of the land development process. Sprinklers would come into play when it's reviewed at a building code level.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that if I'm voting on something, I want to make sure that it's going to happen down the road.
Which aren't they all? They would be required to have a sprinkler at this facility anyway, right? Because of the
It's an
Square
accessory
footage and-
building, so I'm not certain of that.
Please give us your name and address, and then after you, this gentleman would like to say something.
Okay, Carolyn Stacks, 4200 Paxton Street. In talking to Veolia, we are hooking up to their main, and they say that will probably happen in the next 30 to 60 days. So I don't see why the fire hydrant couldn't happen in the same kind of time frame. And so that's pretty much what we're looking at to be. We still have to do a building permit. We have to get these tanks up and installed, and we're looking at some time. So I don't see why it couldn't happen in that period of time. As long as the town, I don't know what the township has to go through to approve that fire hydrant or how that works, but I don't see time frame. You met with the gentleman from Veolia today, and he said he didn't see an issue with that.
Is there, Amanda, is there like a backlog for physically getting a hydrant?
The last I heard there was, so that's why I just don't know. There could be.
You don't know how long, Amanda?
So the issue doesn't take long to put it in, but once you have it.
And they didn't indicate in their email to me, they said all that's required is that the township apply for it. I mean, they didn't indicate to me that there was a backlog, but there may
We
be.
do have a tanker truck available, right?
There's one tanker available, but what if that's somewhere else?
No,
Yeah,
that's always an issue.
yeah.
Okay. Sir, would you like to, again, give us your name and address for the record?
Yeah, hi. I'm Ryan Murphy, 519 Beaver Road. I'm a lieutenant at Paxtonia. I'm here representing the fire company today because our fire chief's on vacation. So our concern on this is the tanks, but also if the building would catch fire, how close are the tanks to that? Because it takes a lot of water to put out that stuff. So our thing is if the hydrant's closer, that's water source right there on the grounds to help put out this fire. So us from a public safety aspect, like Lindsay said, we want to make sure that's there to cut down the time, because for us to lay 1,800 feet of 5-inch or call tankers in, takes a little bit. So the quicker we can get water on the fire, that's our thing of looking at the aspect of this situation. So if we get a hydrant there, we're happy for the public safety aspect.
Okay.
So as outlined, are you guys okay with moving forward?
Yeah, if we can get a fire, yeah.
the cinder block wall.
Please come to the, we have folks watching on TV and they can't hear you if you're not at
The cinder block wall on the main building in reference to the auxiliary building is a 12-inch cinder block wall with perlite, which makes the wall a 4-hour fire rating on the main building.
Is there what's your roof construction?
It's a rubber roof.
Rubber roof. So if that rubber roof would say catch fire, that could. How close are the tanks? That's the thing. That's the thing we're looking at. So if we got a fire hydrant there, the chief, I know he's going to be happy. Township.
That's what when I talked to him last week, he said he would not want the tanks there unless the fire hydrant is there first.
Yeah. So say if you guys are putting the tanks in, from talking to him today if you guys, I know the building construction process. This probably take you 45, 60 days to get it. Hydrants could be that or longer. So when you guys do your building process, I think till you guys get everything in there, the hydrant can probably be in before you're actually even moved into the building. So talking to him, I think we'll be okay with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure the hydrant's there and it's not 6 months down the road.
So Amanda, who has to formally request the hydrant and what's the process?
The township writes a letter to Veolia requesting the hydrant.
Okay.
Do we have to have a motion to do that?
I think you should put it as a motion in the approval, and then we'll handle it from there.
Okay. So the motion to approve would include a condition that we apply to Veolia for installation of a fire hydrant, and that we would then proceed with acquiring said fire hydrant and installing it. Who installs it? Viola?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there any way we can put in there that the tanks are not filled until the hydrant is?
The only issue with that is their timeline, there being, PennDOT has claimed their other parcel. So I don't know if that's a commitment they can make depending on the time.
Realistically, I mean, we are only talking about two of the materials that this could apply to. Realistically, we could keep where we are now, and we shut down over the winter. So this all being said, we could put every other material, maybe if we need to, and hold out on those two and operate until the fall, and then we shut down, and then I think that should give us plenty of time to get the fire hydrant.
Okay.
Well, the main product is the fire, the combustible is the MC70. We could just leave that in a truck and not fill that tank until we get approval.
Okay. So
Because
the
we
fire
have
hydrant's
extra,
there.
we have extra asphalt distributor
Okay.
trucks. We could put, if need be, I mean, we have to get out of 4200 as quick as possible. They are going to condemn the property at some point. But we could just keep that material in a portable truck at the time and not fill it until we get the fire hydrant on the premise.
I'm just concerned because you have other businesses out there, on your property, the property adjoining there, so.
Yeah. I mean, we just need that material to flush trucks, so we could leave that in another
Okay.
truck. Or
I would just feel better if stuff wasn't there until the fire hydrant's there.
Yeah. You said the material in question, we would not fill that tank until that fire hydrant's in place.
My recommendation would be that you keep in close contact with the fire department and let them know what's there when. So if there is anything, they know what they're walking into.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the tanks have placards and, there's still a
Amanda,
response plan with the
Do we have a
township.
clue how much that would cost to put a fire hydrant in?
I've seen the price, but I don't remember.
Well,
what
and the
it is.
maintaining every year is not that expensive.
Yeah. Well, clearly one is required here, so.
Right, right. Brian, do you have a business card you could give him, maybe? You don't. We'll have to talk to Chief Ross about that.
So is that the only condition, that a fire hydrant is ordered from Viola?
Immediately.
And that no materials, that you don't want the tanks on the property until
Till
the
fire-
hydrants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. The combustible material not allowed on property until the fire hydrant is installed.
Yep.
It's not allowed in the tanks. I mean, it can be in a truck.
Right.
not-
And I think, too, we could put in the motion that the township would be responsible for the upkeep of the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
That's a,
Just amend the plan,
isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
sort of just,
Standard.
that's
Yeah.
standard
Right,
operating.
just amend the plan to add the fire hydrant.
Would anybody else like to make any comments or questions? All right. Would somebody like to take a stab at making this motion?
I'll take a stab at it. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve preliminary final land development plan for Cardin Enterprises LLC, Plan Number 2303, with the condition that a fire hydrant is ordered from Viola and that no combustible materials are stored in the tanks until the fire hydrant is installed.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion then?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the plan is approved.
Thank you for agreeing to do that. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paxtonia, for doing your due diligence.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
And welcome to Lower Paxton Township
Yeah.
from Swadar. Thank you, PennDOT.
Thank you, PennDOT. Okay, now we do have new business. First thing we have to do is take action to approve the application for payment number 1 from East Coast Contracting, Inc. for the Municipal Center renovations, which we have to pay prevailing wage to, as was previously stated. We won't get into a prevailing wage discussion here because I would have a lot to say about that. But are there any questions about the payment? We've already awarded the contract, so.
And Mr. Gutschall said, I asked him this evening, he said they're pretty well on their way out there.
Yeah, I see drywall, so that's always a good thing. All that being said, is there a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve action for application for payment number 1 from East Coast Contracting, Inc. for the Municipal Center renovations project.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And we have, under subdivision and land development, we need to take action to approve a preliminary subdivision plan for Parkway Farms. Mrs. Zerby, this looks like a significant development.
It is. The preliminary subdivision plan for Parkway Farms proposes to consolidate 2 properties totaling 31.6 acres and construct 48 single-family dwelling lots and 5 open space lots in accordance with the plan. The site is in the R1 low-density residential zoning district with the open space development overlay. Public streets will be offered for dedication to the township, and the site will be served by public water and sewer. The plan was approved at the April 5th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. There are 9 waiver requests that are all supported by staff, 4 administrative comments, and 5 general comments. And Mr. Malat of Malat Engineering is here to answer any additional questions the board may have.
Okay. Mr. Malat, would you like to add anything?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
That's perfect.
Happy to answer any questions you
Okay.
might have.
Board members,
You're
questions?
okay with all the administrative and the general comments?
Yes,
They'll all be
absolutely.
settled?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of read them, they look pretty straightforward.
How many houses are going there, Tim?
48,
Oh, is that all?
yes.
I thought there was more than that. Okay.
Were there townhouses as well?
No, this is all single-family
single-family
detached
houses.
lots. And
Okay.
one thing, the open space design criteria, 40% of the tract is preserved in
Oh, good.
open space.
Very good. So 48
Right there at the
units.
curve on the parkway.
On the Parkway, we're a little bit north of that
Right.
curve. When you get past
Yeah.
Paxton Creek comes under, and that's where Continental Drive extension. So this completes your Continental Drive extension that's been happening through time.
Right.
So this now gets you over to the Parkway West.
Okay.
Any questions? That's pretty straightforward, actually. Hearing no questions, any public comment or questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve a preliminary subdivision plan for Parkway Farms Plan 22-28.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's one of your easier nights. Okay, we do have improvement guarantees, of which there are a half a dozen. Any questions about those? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the improvement guarantees?
I'll make a motion to approve the improvement guarantees. We have Shiny Shell Car Wash, blue, Central Dauphin East, UPMC, 4805 Devonshire Road, Amber Fields Phase 8B and 8C, Autumn Oaks Phase 1.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
This brings us to the payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we pay the bills for Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Do we have any additional announcements? Hearing none, the next meeting of the Board of Supervisors will be a workshop meeting 1 week from tonight. It will be May 9th already at 7 p.m. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.